When a female Land Rover driver attacked a military veteran in Qingdao, it sparked outrage across the country. In early September, anger swept across the country as veterans from the northeast, Xinjiang and Shandong, gathered in Qingdao. Tens of thousands, dressed in old military uniforms and carrying red flags, marched to confront local authorities, demanding justice for a fellow veteran who was assaulted. The incident happened on August 28th during a shocking road rage altercation on the streets of Qingdao. A 38-year-old woman by the name of Wang was driving a white Land Rover. She was going against traffic and to cut into a lane. A 26-year-old former soldier, Lin, lightly pressed the accelerator to signal her not to push in. This small action enraged Wang. She slammed on her brakes and crashed into a nearby bus. Wang then stormed over to Lin's car, opened the door, and slapped him 5 times. She then hit him repeatedly until his mouth and nose started bleeding. Despite the attack, Lin stayed calm and did not fight back. Shockingly, Wang shouted while hitting him, "So what if I'm driving the wrong way? So what if I hit you? Go ahead, call the police." Then she walked away like nothing happened. The entire scene was caught on video and quickly circulated online, causing public outrage across the country. Many questioned how this Land Rover woman could act so recklessly. Was she protected by authorities? The case involved traffic violations, assault, and fleeing the scene, making it clear grounds for criminal charges. However, the police handled it lightly. The notice on August 29th stated that Wang received a 10-day administrative detention and a 1,000 yuan fine, which is equivalent to $141. But in reality, she received home detention. By September 1st, her car was still seen parked outside her home, leading people to believe she had never been taken into custody. The live stream footage shows Wang walking downstairs, insulting onlookers with the same arrogance she had during the assault. Soon after, law enforcement arrived to tow away her car, and many live streaming channels covering the incident were shut down. On September 3rd, the police released a lengthy 1,800-word statement, which seemed to defend Wang. They described her as unemployed and claimed that she was on her way to the hospital at the time, saying her actions didn't amount to provoking trouble. The statement also suggested that the veteran, by not letting Wang's Land Rover merge, caused the situation to escalate. This made it seem like Lin was somehow to blame and suffered the injury at his own fault. The explanation appeared to excuse Wang's behavior. The statement also denied rumors that Wang was under house arrest and said that those spreading false information have been punished. However, the public questioned why such an obvious crime was being downplayed and why the police were more focused on silencing public outrage rather than delivering justice. This led many to believe that Wang had powerful connections protecting her. Some independent media outlets dug deeper into Wang's background and found shocking information. It turns out that Wang is the mistress of the Qingdao Public Security Bureau's director, who is said to have been personally promoted by China's First Lady Peng Liyuan and the Minister of Public Security Wang Xiaohong. There are plans for the young director to be sent to Beijing for important roles in the future. However, the incident involving his mistress unexpectedly dragged him into the controversy, severely damaging his political prospects. But Wang is not just any ordinary mistress. Most mistresses would be careful, knowing their position is uncertain. Even Qingdao's top officials seemed unable to do anything about Wang, indicating that her support came from provincial or even central government levels. Otherwise, it's hard to explain why the Qingdao police are working so hard to protect her, despite the public outcry. Further proof of this comes from an online video. As Wang was leaving the scene of the assault, a man in a black t-shirt was seen helping her by directing traffic. Investigations revealed that this man is a deputy director of a public security bureau in Qingdao. This video not only confirmed Wang's special status, but also suggested that the deputy director and his faction in the police were being challenged by other forces within China's political landscape. In China, the public security system holds a lot of power, even at the local level. Police officers have significant authority, and exposing videos involving police leadership without permission can lead to harsh consequences, including threats or violence. Yet this video of the deputy director has been widely shared, suggesting that even more powerful forces may be working to expose the network of influence behind Wang. What started as a scandal involving a mistress has now turned into a national issue, dragging the Qingdao Public Security Bureau director into the spotlight. Despite his influence, he hasn't been able to control the situation, which keeps escalating. Qingdao has become a hot check-in spot for social media influencers, while tens of thousands of veterans have gathered in the city, showing this is far from a simple story. There's no doubt that internal political struggles within the Chinese Communist Party, CCP, are playing a role in this case. Otherwise, it's hard to explain how a seemingly simple public security incident could escalate into such a major controversy and attract nationwide attention. In late July, reports of worsening health surfaced, and the military's influence has been growing. This Qingdao Public Security Bureau director, who is closely linked to Xi's faction, seems to have become a target for military forces and independent media. Another important factor is the powerful connections behind the Land Rover woman. It's said that her uncle is a current member of the CCP's Politburo Standing Committee. This rumor alone has caused a lot of attention. There are two main guesses as to who her uncle might be: Premier Li Qiang, or chairman of the Chinese People's Political Consultative Conference, Wang Huning. If this is true, the power struggle behind this incident becomes even more interesting. Looking at the current situation, it's clear that Xi Jinping's faction is trying to control this growing crisis. On the night of September 3rd, Qingdao in Shandong province went into a state of martial law, with road closures and heightened security checks. All veterans from other areas were turned away. These harsh measures show that the people backing the Land Rover woman are very powerful. Several major highways in Shandong were also shut down, supposedly for road repairs, to keep more veterans from gathering in Qingdao. The Qingdao Public Security Bureau director took extreme steps, secretly moving the Land Rover woman to Shanghai and silencing the victim, Lin. Lin is now under house arrest in a hospital, completely cut off from contact. This is clearly an effort to protect the people behind Wang. Reports even say that Wang's side has investigated Lin's family and threatened to retaliate. Wang has also tried to silence the media by making threats. An internet celebrity shared a threatening phone call from her. You better delete those videos. Watch out, or you won't see tomorrow's sun.
Hello, ma'am. You've called me so many times. What do you want?
Don't you know what I mean?
You've called me over 10 times. How am I supposed to know what you want?
You're just a nobody. Why are you afraid to answer my calls? Are you deaf or blind? What, are you scared I'll come after you?
Yes, I'm just a small host. How could I dare answer your calls? What if you actually come after me?
Meanwhile, the veterans stuck in Qingdao are demanding a public apology from Wang, while also demanding the resignation of the director of Qingdao's Public Security Bureau. 3 veterans even confronted Wang's younger brother, asking him to apologize on her behalf. But instead of apologizing, Wang's side threatened to detain the veterans who came to negotiate. However, these 3 veterans had already started live streaming, and their conversation with Wang's side quickly spread across the internet. Right now, there are about 10,000 to 20,000 veterans stuck in Qingdao, surrounding the Public Security Bureau to put pressure on Beijing. Rumors are spreading that veterans from other regions are planning to head to Beijing to cause trouble, with some even saying that they might start fires. Their goal is simple: to send a message to Xi Jinping. Don't mistreat veterans, and stop arresting People's Liberation Army generals, or this won't end peacefully. Sounds like a joke, right? But there's actually talk in the Beijing Public Security Bureau's internal groups. Currently in Beijing, public officers, auxiliary police, elderly neighborhood watchers wearing red armbands, and some armed police are patrolling the streets in teams of 3 to keep order. At first glance, it looks well organized. But here's the funny part. They're all carrying guns with no bullets. The guns are just for show. And their real gear? Batons and fire extinguishers. In each group of 3, at least one person is carrying a red fire extinguisher, ready to put out any fires. The way the Communist Party is handling this situation is almost laughable. Have you ever seen anything like it? Police standing guard with fire extinguishers, and the plump elderly women who act as community watchers are dragging around these heavy extinguishers, and all this because rumors that veterans might come to Beijing and start fires. Now there are 2 fire extinguishers on every overpass and 2 in every alley in Beijing, with 6 people blocking each alley. The truth is, this is just another way for Communist Party officials to make easy money. Sometimes there's not even a real threat of unrest, and they'll spread fake rumors about trouble. Then, officials in places like Beijing and Shanghai raise the security level and pocket extra funds for maintaining stability. It's an easy, low-risk way to make money. And they don't have to worry about being accused of corruption because maintaining stability is always the top priority. In fact, China spends more money on keeping stability than on its defense budget. It's a huge source of money, and of course, these officials want their share. The reason the Qingdao incident has escalated so much is that the victim, Lin, is a veteran, which brings the military into the picture. In today's China, the military influence is starting to affect CCP leadership decisions. Veteran leaders may not be able to mobilize active duty troops, but they can still use veterans to cause trouble. When the anger of veterans turns into social conflict, it puts a lot of pressure on the government. That's why these veterans were able to organize so quickly. There's clearly someone powerful behind the scenes. Otherwise, how could this scattered, marginalized group suddenly have the ability to gather thousands of people to head to Qingdao to support a comrade they've never met? How could they dare to confront the police directly? It's clear that someone up high is using this as a chance to stir up political trouble. On September 6th, new details came out. The vice chairman of the Central Military Commission called the Minister of Public Security, raising concerns about the large number of veterans gathering in Qingdao and growing unrest across the country. This was starting to affect military morale. He demanded that the Ministry of Public Security take serious action and provide answers to the troops. However, the Public Security Minister brushed it off, saying it was a local government issue in Shandong, not a concern for the military. This led to a heated argument between the two. Right after that, a major scandal about an underground surrogacy in Qingdao was exposed. Rumors about this had been around for a while, but it was covered up until now. The sudden exposure makes it clear that higher authorities are pushing for deeper investigations into the issues surrounding the Land Rover woman. It turns out that the Land Rover woman's younger brother has deep ties to these surrogacy agencies through his company. On the surface, these agencies claim to offer IVF services, but they were running illegal surrogacy operations and even selling birth certificates nationwide. Behind this were doctors, nurses, and anesthesiologists from public hospitals. The Land Rover woman's problem is that she used her influence over local law enforcement to protect this illegal business. She and her brother played a much bigger role in this scheme than anyone thought, and there are even bigger secrets waiting to be uncovered. According to the latest reports, the veteran who was assaulted, Lin, had spent 4,000 yuan, equivalent to $564 on medical bills. He still experiences dizziness, nausea, and ringing in his ears. Lin has gone through a medical evaluation, and the results are in. His family's guest house has had to shut down, causing him both financial and emotional distress. Fortunately, China's Veterans Affairs official account has promptly stepped in to offer free legal help and protect the rights of veterans. Well-known lawyer Zhi Shusheng has said that the Qingdao police report is not the final decision, and Lin still has legal options. If he doesn't accept compensation from Wang, he can continue with a lawsuit. There are also many questions about how the police handled the case. Who was the officer in charge? How were the reports written? Why did the police seem to side with Wang? These issues are still unclear. From a legal standpoint, Lin has the right to sue the police, challenging the basis for their administrative punishment of Wang. The police must submit detailed evidence and legal arguments to the court within the legal time frame. These documents should be transparent and open for review by lawyers and involved parties. More importantly, the police took what should have been a criminal case and split it into 2 administrative cases, seemingly to avoid legal consequences. The lawyer also pointed out that there's no way to apply for administrative review in this case, as the report was issued by Qingdao Public Security Bureau. Asking for a review from their superiors would mean asking the same system to judge itself, which wouldn't solve anything. The right approach is to file an administrative lawsuit. While it's not uncommon for the first trial to favor the authorities, the key is to not lose hope. There are still options for appeals and retrials. As long as Lin follows the legal process, justice can still be served. This assault case involving the Land Rover woman also shows the growing tensions between the military and the CCP leadership. In recent years, the CCP has cracked down on the military, arresting commanders and political commissars, which has created a lot of tension. Now, veterans are speaking out through this assault case, sending a message to the CCP leadership that the military won't just follow orders to attack Taiwan. If the CCP pushes for war, the military might expose even more corruption and wrongdoing within Xi Jinping's faction. For years, the CCP has loudly called for taking Taiwan by force, but the Chinese People's Liberation Army, PLA, is nowhere near ready for that mission. Taiwan's military equipment, especially US-made weapons, is decades ahead of the PLA. Taiwan's air defenses would be tough to break, and the PLA has little experience with naval warfare. Everyone knows that attacking Taiwan would be self-destruction for the PLA. Plus, the U.S.-Taiwan Relations Act is in place, and attacking Taiwan would mean going to war with the U.S. In Ukraine, Russia's best Soviet fighter jets have been suppressed by just a few F-16s. Taiwan's F-16s are even more advanced, and the PLA's imitation Soviet jets don't stand a chance. Japan and South Korea are equipped with F-35s, and compared to those, the PLA's planes are like toys. They're simply outmatched. So far, the CCP hasn't fully understood the military advantage of the US and its allies. If war breaks out, it will be a disaster for the CCP. Ukraine's situation is a clear example of this. That's why the CCP talks big about uniting Taiwan by force, but the military is unwilling to act. Talking tough is one thing, but fighting is a whole nother story. In the end, whether the CCP's leadership makes arrests or issues threats, the military's stance is clear. They don't want to get involved. And as for the rest of the world, that's good news.